Hey guys, this is Kev-D with Kev-D Fitness. I wanted to make a little video and explain to you guys how to properly train calves. Calves are typically one of the hardest muscles for people to develop. There's a number of reasons for this. The biggest one being people just don't train them properly. Now you hear a lot of nonsense about how to train calves. You have to do high reps. No, you got to do low reps. Oh, you have to have a short rest interval. Look, calves are the same as any other skeletal muscle in your body. They respond to progressive tension overload and increased training frequency. So, no, you don't need to do a magic rest interval between your sets. You don't need to do 20 rep sets or 5 rep sets only. You can do 8 rep sets as long as you're progressively increasing the load on your muscles. They will grow. Now, calves are a muscle that also happens to lend itself to being influenced greatly by genetics. And people say this isn't true, but it is. My sister's boyfriend, for example, has great calves. He does no specific training. He just naturally, genetically was born with great calves. Me, on the other hand, on my tall frame, as you know, I'm 6'1". I don't have great calves. Before I got this machine, I had outright chicken legs. So I just couldn't train my calves properly. So when I got this, I was finally able to properly train my calves and apply enough load to them. Another thing genetically that inhibits calf growth is the lack of hormone receptors. Testosterone receptors within your muscles, they decrease as you travel down the body. So your highest levels are in your traps, your shoulders, chest, arms. As you go down, they get lower, lower, lower into your legs, and of course lowest in the calves. So that's why when you see guys who juice, who do steroids, they'll have real big traps and real big round shoulders because they have so many testosterone receptors up there. So it is a little harder and takes a little bit more work to get your calves to build if you don't naturally have great calves genetics. But it can be done. Now there's something else you need to understand about the calves, and that's the biomechanics of how your calves work and the muscles that are present there. Now, I don't know if you can see this here well, but there's two main muscles that make up the calves. You have your soleus muscle down here, and you have what's called your gastrocnemius down here. Gastrocnemius has two heads. You have an outer head here, I hope you can see it, and an inner head here. Now, your soleus muscle has more type 1 muscle fibers and works more when you're doing endurance type exercises. So walking, running, things of this nature. High reps are going to hit your soleus more. Your gastrocnemius has more type 2 fibers, more high threshold fibers. So lower reps does work better to develop your gastrocnemius muscles right here. Now, the biggest thing with calf training and your form is your form on your exercise. First off, when you're building your calves, the muscles you really want to build these muscles here. This is the muscle you want big. Your soleus has limited growth potential. When you see someone with a really nice set of calves, they're developed up here in your gastrocnemius. So that's what you're looking for. Now, one thing that really inhibits growth in your calves is your Achilles tendon. Now, your Achilles tendon acts like a spring. So, you ever see someone doing calf raises and they're doing kind of like this? They'll be pounding out the whole weight stack. They'll have 400 or 500 pounds on there, and they are not effectively training their calves in the least. You are almost entirely lifting that load with your Achilles tendon. It literally acts like a spring, builds up potential energy, and releases it, totally taking the workload off of your muscles. So the key to training calves for growth is to slow the motion down, and you have to dissipate that energy buildup in your Achilles tendon. The way you do that is with a long pause at the bottom of your repetition. And you want to do full range repetition. And all the way down, get a good stretch in your calf, all the way to the top, pushing off your toes. So I'm going to show you the proper way to do a calf raise. I like to count to two. I count 1 1,000, 2 1,000 when I'm on the bottom. So 1 1,000, 2 1,000, up. 1 1,000, 2 1,000, up. 1 1,000, 2 1,000, up. Doing your calf raises in this manner will help to eliminate the contribution of your Achilles tendon. So your Achilles tendon, someone who jumps really high, you don't have to have big calves or strong legs to jump high. You have to have a long Achilles tendon. Someone with a long Achilles tendon can build up more potential energy in that tendon and then spring off of it with that much more force. So people who are great sprinters, long Achilles tendon. People who can jump, long Achilles tendon. You know, you ever seen a guy who's 5'5" who can dunk a basketball? It's not because his legs are jacked and super strong. He's got a long Achilles tendon. That's where you get your jumping and your leaping ability. So it can be a real hindrance when you're trying to focus on your calves and trying to build muscle. The other thing, one last point to build your gastrocnemius up is you want to do standing calf raises. You want your knees locked out straight. A lot of people in the gym, you see a lot of people doing seated calf raises. When you bend your knee, the contribution of your gastrocnemius on the movement up and down is greatly reduced. So seated calf raises in the gym are mostly working your soleus muscle down here, not much on your gastrocnemius. So they're really pretty much a waste of time. I don't recommend wasting your time doing them at all. So that's really the biomechanics of training the calves and how to effectively train your calves. And again, do your standing calf raises, increase the loads week after week after week. I personally train my calves 2 to 3 times a week. I will have a lower rep day where I work in the 5 to 6 rep range, and I will have a higher rep day where I work in the about 10 rep range. And I typically do about 5 to 8 reps, sets, every time I come in to train calves. And calves, they are a weak point of mine. So whenever you have a weak point, like I've said in previous videos, you want to put extra work into that muscle group. So standing calf raises is mainly what I do. I also like to do single leg calf raises, and I'll show you some single leg calf raises right now. They're great to switch it up. It takes a lot more balance to do calf raises with 1 leg rather than 2, so it activates your muscles in a different manner, and it also allows you to focus on building up. If you have a weaker calf, if you say your left calf is weaker than your right calf or not as big as your right calf. That's my case. As you probably saw when I was doing the calf raises, my right calf looks pretty good. Not where I want it to be, but it's okay. My left calf is nowhere near as good as my right calf. But so single leg calf raises, and I'm going to do a couple reps of that to show you how to do them, is a great way to balance out those muscle imbalances. Same form. You hold down at the bottom, 1 1,000, 2 1,000, and up. 1 1,000, 2 1,000, up. 1 1,000, 2 1,000, up. And really, at the top, push off your toes and really try to get that peak contraction. A couple more tips, just if you want to do a couple variations for your calf raises. When you do your calf raises, if you point your toes out, it will work your inner head of your gastrocnemius more, because you'll be pushing more off of your inner toes. And if you point your toes in, it'll work more the outer head, because you'll be pushing more off your pinky toes and the outer toes there. So those are, if you happen to be really lacking in, say, the outer head or the inner head, you could do that variation and focus on those different separate heads of your calf muscle, your gastrocnemius specifically. So guys, that's it. Those are really the keys to calf training. Use proper form, understand the biomechanics of the calves. It really comes into play. With any exercise, you get a bounce effect off of the tension that builds up in your connective tissue, your ligaments, your tendons. That's why you see a lot of people bouncing off their chest. You get a rebound effect, and it helps get the weight up when they're doing something, for example, bench press. It's the same thing with calf raises, and it will really take, that bounce effect can really take over the motion and can really limit the effectiveness of your exercises for your calves. So really focus on your form, practice the form like I just showed you, and you should be able to get some gains in your calves. In the past 6 months, like I said, I had some real chicken legs. I just couldn't train my calves properly, and genetically I wasn't blessed, so it was what it was. I got this machine, past 6 months, I put about 1 inch on to each leg around. So I made a lot of progress on my calves, and if you are having a tough time building up your calves, you can too. Get in there, hit them 2 to 3 times a week, don't neglect them, don't just hit them once a week. Really increased workload, like I mentioned in previous videos, increased workload will get increased response, as long as you're in the training within limits that you can recover from. So guys, I hope you learn now how to effectively train calves. I hope you can use this information, build up some great calves. If you like this video, you learned something, please click like, subscribe to my channel, and if you have any questions or comments, drop them below, private message. That's great. I'll do my best to get back to them. Thanks guys, and I'll talk to you next time.